And now joining me on Zoom to discuss the situation is a senior consultant in climate resilience, adaptation planning, and carbon management, Dr. Justin Udie from the United Kingdom. It's good to have you join us on the world now. We see Southern Europe battling its first major heat wave of the summer with scorching temperatures. What does this mean for efforts at adapting to climate changes around the world?
All right. Thank you for the opportunity again, and good afternoon. Yes, it is not a surprise, like I will always say, that temperatures are changing rapidly and setting new records every year. To anyone there who think this is a surprise, then it could be what I call a predictable surprise, or in most cases, I say predictable surprises, because the science has proven that global climate change is real, and of course, heat wave are indicators of such changes. The question you asked is about adaptation. There are, different measures which we at advisory level or capacity have been speaking with policymakers and decision makers around the world on how to adapt, but not just adapting, but first beginning to have a holistic understanding of what the scale of this challenge or challenges, if you include other impacts, could be. So there have been, understandably, I should say, continuous investment in the mitigation of climate change and the net zero thing, the Paris Agreement of keeping temperature below the certain level, say 2 degrees at most or 1.5. But when it comes to adaptation, unfortunately, the world has not received such a corresponding momentum in responding to climate change impacts like this. So, measures to deal with this would to invest in first health infrastructure. That is what called health resilience and building institutions that will have the capacity to respond to this because there are going to be health complications as a result of this, and there will be emergencies. So we need emergency response that are resilient, adaptable, warning signs provided, and serious campaign to ensure that the knowledge is there. Furthermore, we talk about the ecosystem measures. Ecosystem measures include, for example, water management and water availability for cooling or system. You just mentioned there that in some places they open up swimming pools. So in addition to that, I know we'll talk about maybe the safety of the response much later. So that should be one. London Climate Action Week that just ended last week was around devolution, devolving funding, devolving or expanding funding, expanding adaptation, mitigation measures into the communities and to local council so that there will be that kind of corresponding response from there, because that is where life really exists.
And all this comes after March this year. We saw Europe being declared experiencing the hottest March on record as a stark reminder of how our climate is changing. But in terms of how this should serve as a template for some other nations who are likely to experience this beyond just France, beyond Europe also, what should they put in place, not just for the heat, but for the long-term cost of this global warming?
Yeah, I think that information is publicly available. You don't just need anybody to give you a template. You can just do a simple Google search. Will give you idea of what is happening in Europe. How EU, for example, I give you an example. EU has got what they call EU adaptation measures, strategies in place. That is a public document that anybody can make use of. Australia has got some. The UK has got such adaptation plans in place, and there are industry level adaptation measures. For example, there are adaptation measures for transport systems in the UK where maybe the rail sector have to respond, or how they want to respond to climate change, how the national highways and transportation want to respond to climate change, how the health sector want to respond to climate change, and overall, there is a national climate change adaptation program and projects that are available, which I think other countries can actually take these and not just copy and paste. I think that need to be very clear. You need to take these templates and collect data, local data that correspond with the template, And that is only when adaptation will work, because climate change impact is geographical based. It doesn't happen the same way it's happened. Even within Europe, if you check, the temperatures vary from city to city or from country to country. So adaptation measures that are applicable in Scotland, for example, might not be exactly the same that you want to apply in Wales or in Scotland or somewhere in Paris or in other parts of Europe, as the case may be. So these templates, according to your questions, your question, are available. They are public, and to cap that, is that during these committee of party or conference of parties meetings all over that countries, I think over 195 or thereabout, usually meet, there are provisions for knowledge share,
All right.
strategic knowledge sharing and funding to support other countries in either mitigating or adapting to the impact of climate change.
That's a fine place to leave the conversation for now. Senior consultant in climate resilience, adaptation planning, and carbon management, Dr. Justin Udie. Thank you for talking to us at this time.
Thank you so much. All the best.